everyone, welcome. It's Nikki from Prim and Planning, and today I thought I would take you along on a 12 by 12 layout share. So this is my first time doing this, and this is what I've done over the last year that I've gotten into 12 by 12s from the beginning to the most recent, and I love it. I got hooked. As you can see, this was the first one, and this was a Make With Me Monday with Tage. Oh my God. With Paige Taylor Evans. And after this one, I was hooked. So I will put them all aside and I will show you them one by one, and I'll try to give you as much detail as possible on the products or why I chose to do what I did. Okay, so let's start with this first grid layout. So as I said, this was a Make With Me Monday with Paige Evans, and I think she's still doing them maybe once a month now, but last year when she started, she was doing them weekly. So I followed along with one, and then I loved it. So all of these items most of these items are from Rosie's Studios. At the time, that's, some of the papers I had a lot of. It was a story about my daughter's 6th birthday, and she had a slime party. And so it was super fun to create this. And I love the idea of following along with a creative person who has such great ideas. So that was the first one. And I'm not too sure when these are not in chronological order. They are in order of when I designed them. And I feel like we did this first one maybe in June or May. So that's when I started last year with this up till today with this pile over here. Okay, so the second week, or possibly a couple of weeks later, this was another Make With Me Monday with Paige, and I loved this. So with this one, I used a lot of my Cocoa Daisy papers, and then just die cuts and ephemera that I had within my stash. So I just absolutely love how this one came together. I love that I used some paint to splatter and mixed collections, and I mixed products as well, and I just love the shape and the shapes of the papers as well. And it was just pretty cool to do a lot of layering and keep it tonal and cut out these fun pictures in that shape. So that was a really cute one. So then I was hooked, and it didn't have a lot of 12 by 12 papers at that time. So I had, papers from over the years in my stash. And so I wanted to work on one. And, my excitement had just started. So I was just ordering, and they hadn't come in yet. So I went into my stash and picked up this pretty paper and found a story that I could tell that this, as you'll see going forward, I do use a lot of white bases or lighter pastel color bases. So this is out of my comfort zone, but I actually quite love it. So I used elements that I had within my stash and photos that worked really well with this paper. This is, from Maggie Holmes, and this is from Cocoa Daisy. So I just went in my stash and created this beautiful layout. I really do love this one. It gets 4 photos. I also don't do that very often, so that's super cute. So at this time, I had joined on with Rosie Studios as a creative club member, so I was super excited to create a 12 by 12 process video. So I think this was the very first one that I did, and it is in time, slow as a turtle process video, but it was kind of interesting to make. I haven't made a lot of them since, but I love the wreath look. I always love that when people create wreath ones. And then a couple of photos here about a trip to the zoo. I used all of the collection from Rosie's Studio, which is called Nature's Gift. And sometimes I include handwritten text, and sometimes I print it out. So that is how that one came together. This one I don't think I've ever shared. It was just no purpose, like no specific reasoning, but I wanted to tell a story about how I take my daughters to Home Depot Saturday craft mornings. So I wrote on this tag here about our story. And now I can't get it back in, of course. That's okay. And then here, I thought it was pretty cool. So again, I used a lot of elements I already had. This, I think, is from Felicity Jane. Papers are from Coco Daisy. I think this is Coco Daisy as well. And, just little items. Like these are from the Happy Planner and Rosie Studio. So, you know, I just went through my stash. And then I was able to create, you know, these little pictures attached to their certificates. I mean, how cute is that? That's so sweet. What a special memory. I'm really proud of this one. I'm not gonna, you know, fuss with this too much, so just put that there and move on to the next one. Okay, at this time, I was getting into my YouTube groove, and so I was actually going back in time, and I have been a long time lover of Coco Daisy, so I was going back to previous year's collections to use up the items, and this is one of the ones I created in August of 2024 using August 2023's Coco Daisy collection. So this was the remnants of what I had left over, and I created the 12 by 12 layout with some hidden journaling here about a picture with my two daughters. And it was a story that was, you know, from 2020. I love that I used this button, and I can't remember what this collection is called exactly. I can check. It is called Quiet Meadow. There's just so many that I have. So now they're all starting to blend together. The little die cut of the fairy. I really liked this challenge that I gave to myself. Okay, so this one here is one of my favorites. I used a new collection that I had purchased from Rosie's Studio to create this one. Bellevue is what it's called, and I absolutely love it. I love the fold over technique here to show two of my favorite, you know, papers from the collection, and I just love how delicate and pretty it is that I was able to use the 4 photos. And you know, I feel like sometimes I would go instantly to creating a film strip with this style photo, but I love it. I love this way to showcase. And this time I did use some, I actually printed this on vellum, and that works just as well. So a lot of pretty details in this layout. Super cute. This one is also using Rosie Studios. This is using the Roll With It collection, and I also included hidden journaling here as well. This is definitely one of my favorite things to do because I do feel like the story is just as important as the art and as the photo. So I love all 3 elements, but I love them just all equally. So sometimes the journaling doesn't really vibe with the look, so hiding it is one of my favorite things to do. So this is a cute one that gets a lot of the bold paper and a good title and a super cute photo. Okay, so now we're heading into July of 2024. So this one includes a grid template with another hidden journal right there. So I used just a white cardstock. At this time, I think I had ordered some basil white avalanche paper from scrapbook.com, but it hadn't arrived yet. So I used this paper from Michaels, and I gotta say, not the best, but it worked. I wanted to get this created. I loved the collection that we had in July with the mermaids, but also a lot of elements I find it very hard to create with if they're just too specific. So I had a story that included mermaids. My daughter celebrated a birthday and her theme was mermaids, so it was the perfect way to document and to be able to use a lot of these cute elements here. And so, like I had previously mentioned, this one was one that I created last year, but was using the previous year's Cocoa Daisy collection, and I love this one. I feel like this one was just a lot of leftovers, but it really came together so fun. And I just love this layout and this collection, and I also love how I created the text like that. Sticking with that same collection, I created another one with a long title here on the left. It's definitely not my favorite. I think it was the leftovers. So a lot of these papers, weren't my favorite, and I was just trying to use it up. And so I used one of the cards, and then these actually, these florals here were from, I'm not quite sure, but they were a freebie from scrapbook.com. So I was just trying to use up that July's collection, and it's still a story documented. All right, so here we have a beautiful one. I remember I had used a sketch from A Cherry on Top, which, quickly became another favorite thing to do, using the August collection from Cocoa Daisy. Which one's that? I forget what it's called, but it was one of my favorites. Is it September or is it August? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's September's collection. I'm gonna have to cut this out now because I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure. Anyways, this is so pretty. I love that I was able to use so many details. I feel like whenever I do that, when I add so many elements, glitter dots, real leaves, rub-ons, cards, like die cut stickers, more rub-ons, washi tape, envelopes, a paper clip, hidden journaling, ribbon, I don't know. I feel like I love those layouts the best. They just have so much detail. This was a story about the seasons in our backyard. So spring, oh my God, summer, fall, and winter, and I love it. I really love this one. This is a fun one, and I'm really proud of this one. So I created this using Roll With It collection from Rosie Studios, and it's just a way to sticker bomb a 12 by 12 layout. So I wanted a story about my girls also loving stickers. So I have a little story here. They're cute little faces, and I sticker bombed on the white and on the paper, and I love this style. I'm gonna have to, scrap lift myself and create another one of these, because that is such a great way to use a lot of stickers and a lot of die cuts. I think I felt at this point like I needed a story about my son. So he had recently got his hair cut. And so I found this beautiful paper in the Bellevue collection, and I wanted to write a long story about it, and I really love how this one came together. I tried to go monotone with all the colors, and I kind of like how that came on ledger. You can't go wrong. Okay, here's another one where I tried to go back and use one of the collections from Cocoa Daisy the year prior. So here is I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure I used a cherry on top sketch for this one as well. And I love this idea of cutting out the journaling cards. I just punched it with a circle punch. This is one of the dashboards here, some of the stickers and die cuts, and using a lot of the papers, but it really comes together quite nicely. And it's a story from 2019. So I don't design in any chronological order. I either am inspired by the paper or the photos or a story to tell, and I just go with it. This is another one of my favorites, and I used Bellevue collection from Rosie Studios again. I love that I was able to use some ephemera from the actual store that we went to. These tickets are super cute. I love that they're a part of the ephemera pack. Rosie Studios have the best ephemera packs. They're just chocked full. You really could never run out. And then they had these beautiful three-dimensional butterflies. And yeah, this is a feminine page, but my son was sitting in a very feminine seat while we went to this beautiful store. So I love this. I love the tone, the half and half paper, and it's really, really fun. Okay, so we're heading into October, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and I took a class with Paige Taylor Evans, and there is no photos left because I haven't finished it yet. But we did this beautiful page with her products in one of the classes, and it's so fun. It's one of her famous shelf designs, and then yeah, I'll just add photos from this past Halloween and place them in there. Probably one of my, 2 daughters and son. So that would be perfect. And this is my first ever double page spread. I also did this in her class, and it's super cute. I still have yet to put the pictures here and here, and then the journaling will go here, but I will get to it. It was a labor of love, this one. I did find that I had to go fast and catch up later, but it was a really cool experience. I also did a album with Megan Andrews in this class as well, and another, I forget what it's called, but Doodlebug, like the circles where you put all the stickers. That was a really fun one. Okay, so here I am using, what is this one called? Wildwood Collection from Rosie Studios. Again, I love when I am able to use a lot of the ephemera to help enhance the story. So there was my husband and son with a beautiful sunset, and I was able to use a lot of these more, they're feminine, but there's a fox and boots. Look at that paper, so manly. I love it. Okay, so here is one that I created in October using a grid layout, and one of these things is so fun. I used one of the stamps from Coco Daisy a while back, and I was able to have use a yellow ink and just stamp, and it's kind of like a nice controlled splatter. So that was fun. I used some of the dashboards and a 3x4 journaling card for the title, added some journaling and die cuts about my daughters at the pumpkin patch, and I really love how this came together because I like when I'm able to add all the beautiful papers and create a cohesive layout. Okay, we're almost there, guys, like halfway. I hope this is not too much talking. Okay, so this one here was a fun one. I love this ripped look here on top, so it's not too much with the text background. This one, I believe, is, this one's a little bit off here. I think this one is from the Wildwood collection from Rosie Studio. So here I used one of the tags to write directly on it and added some ephemera. It was one of our little outings, and it's just fun. It's fun to put these spreads together and create a cohesive look about a story that I want to remember. Here is another one that I created using a sketch from A Cherry on Top. I'm telling you, I was like really loving them. So I was like trying to do one every week. Sometimes I wouldn't even get them up on time to enter into, the challenge, but I still followed along regardless. So I thought this was a fun one. I wanted to use this pretty paper because it was kind of out of the box for me, and I loved this background that went at a restaurant we sat at with my 3 kiddos. We got milkshakes, and it was a fun story. Okay, so now I'm heading into different products because I started on the Tracy Reed design team as well. So her first collection when I started was an Americana type 1, and I live in Canada, so it was a little bit of, I had to figure out a way that I could best use her product to tell my story. So this was a story about a building that we went to visit while we were in South Carolina called Custom House. So I wrote about that, used a journaling card. I love this technique. I printed like a splotchy watercolor type background on vellum and then just ripped it around it, and I thought that was very, very fun. It got, it broke up the white and it created this home base for the, title and photo and everything to go. So I really love this as my first 12 by 12 for Tracy. Here I am using Hearth and Home from Rosie Studios, and I had a hard time with this one. As you can tell in previous designs, I go light or bright and not very dark. So I challenged myself to use one of the dark papers, and it was the first time I even created a black and white photo, and it just tells a story about our piano at home. And I also wanted to, so I think this was October or November, and I had received the collection, and I wanted to challenge myself to use the Christmas collection, but not for a Christmas story. And I think I did a great job. This was a sketch from Tracy Reed Designs. You can find all of her sketches on her blog, so that's pretty cool too. And I loved it. We had recently gotten our family photos taken, so I'm so happy that I was able to get the photos taken, print them, and scrapbook one. It feels like I'm accomplished something. So again, here I used that technique of printing on vellum, which I kind of love. And then I had used my Cricut for the first time. I'm, not a big Cricut user, I suppose. So I used that to cut out the alphas, which was a very cool technique, and then layered some of the papers here. I love how this one came out. This was using Jack and Skelly from Tracy Reed. Okay, here we are with Cocoa Daisy. So this was the first time that I had purchased the 12 by 12 papers, and now I'm hooked. So you get 12 by 12 papers. There's 6 designs, double-sided, and I absolutely love how this came together. I printed the journaling on clear sticker paper and used a lot of the alphas, and I just really love how I was able to use these pretty papers to tell a cute story. Okay, here is another first for me. I purchased this cut file from Rosie Studios. So again, this is the Bellevue collection from Rosie Studio, and it was my first time using a cut file, and I'm very proud of that. Like I said, I'm still learning my Cricut machine, so I was able to figure it out and print it on the right paper. So I used the paper here is the same one that you find behind these little torn up pieces, and then I used a lot of the pretty ephemera to go along with my daughter's new pajamas. And I love this one. I'm so happy I was able to use this bow print because it's so pretty, but it was maybe a little overwhelming, and I feel like I was able to tone it down. Okay, we're getting into Christmas here. Christmas and winter. So this is another grid one. Definitely one of my favorite layouts so that I can get a lot of the pretty pattern papers together. I told a story about my daughters seeing Santa at cheer. And I was so happy when Tracy Reed, this is her newest Christmas collection. And I was so happy with this one because of the colors are so perfect for this photo because my daughters are sharks, and it's definitely this turquoise blue. So then I created another one. Sorry, it's just stuck here. Another layout, but using more of the traditional colors from that collection. And look at this alpha. It is so cool. Definitely one of the highlights of this one. So I used one of her sketches to create this, and I absolutely love it. So fun. Like, look at their cute little faces. Yeah, so I used the journal cards, some papers, the alpha, and then I added some glitter dots. Okay, so here is another one. This one was my first time on Tracy Reed's design team where I had to mix and match two collections. So here I used some rolled up paper technique, which I thought was very clever considering this is about baking and you roll the dough. So I really love how this came together. I used this technique of printing and ripping the vellum. I love that. I just feel like it's so strong and it really like makes the white base pop. Uh-oh, all my letters have come apart. Okay, so this one here is Rosie Studios, and I actually have to glue a lot of their alphas on. They've just lost their stick, so I will do that one day, but I never have the glue around, so I thought this was really fun to add this little thing here, and then just a story about the kiddos' first snowman. Okay, so this is one of my latest favorites layouts. I had created this one using Coco Daisy's collection, Cedar and Snow, and also mixed in the previous year's collection with some of these elements. So I really love, I think that, like I said previously, is what makes me feel like the layout is complete when I'm able to add die cuts and chipboard, vellum, glitter dots, journaling cards, and like, you know, textured pieces as well. Some of this ribbon, definitely a favorite. Okay, so this one here was for Rosie Studios. I believe I used Unconditional or This Is Us, or a bit of both. And they had these beautiful frames that I'm always a little hesitant to use. So I just created a gallery wall, which I thought was a pretty fun way to show off our 3 family Christmases this year. Here I am using Tracy Reed's newest collection called Bookish, and I really love how this came together. I, again, love that I could use a lot of the pattern papers, and I cut them down into shapes of bookmarks to use as a base with, you know, some texture here, and then glitter dots that kind of coordinate in color, just kind of scattering out. And there's really no journaling necessary. This was just a photo that one of my kiddos took of me, and, you know, I just kind of check marked off one of the journaling cards, and this was done. Okay, I have 2 more. Here is one of my favorites. This is using not a 12 by 12 paper from Coco Daisy, but actually one of the planner kit papers where it's kind of folded in half. You can hardly tell. And then I used some of the Deluxe Journaling specialty paper behind, which I thought was really fun. And this was such a perfect paper. We had recently gone to Denmark, and so when I saw this paper, I knew I had to use it. I have some hidden journaling in there, and that's one of my favorites. And finally, I have a Rosie Studio 12 by 12 here using the Wildwood collection. I have some hidden journaling. I didn't even do any, but I was supposed to do some journaling on there. And it's one of my favorite photos, taking pictures of my kiddos when they're so cuddly and so cute. And I just like die cut bombed around the photo. So thank you so much for following along. I absolutely love working on 12 by 12 layouts, and these are all of them that I've created so far. So now I will start a new collection that I can show you a big chunk maybe towards the end of the year. Okay, we'll see you next time.